terms of planning. I mean, you know, could they have made it safer for the Queen to go? Because, Kevin, you know, we've seen it when Donald Trump was being a very different... The Queen is the key. You know, she unlocks people in a way that politicians do not. For COP26, it's a sign, isn't it, to the world of how seriously Great Britain and the UK takes this summit. The Queen is physically present there. It's a massive managing her.
I think that's a possibility.
Health. Well, they actually want to be arrested. And they're sort of, why aren't we being arrested?
They want to be martyred. But we know...
Potentially.
No, it's the way that...
Parliament building in the centre of London yesterday, saying they wanted to defund meat. I'm not quite sure what that is.
That was a different group.
Done before, I suppose that's there.
They haven't given the location.
Assessed all the targets announced by countries to go net zero by the end of last month. And they concluded that the net zero pledges could move 0.2%, providing hope that future action could still help of all opinion, of all policy, of people's death to stroke, and whether it is okay for you to... You can stand back from that situation. If they are kept... If they are... Tomorrow. So if tomorrow you were in charge of the budget, what... See, this is the issue. You want to talk about the fact. Right, I'm asking every single hope. That is what... I say you were in your early 20s when you were walking through hotels with Frank Sinatra. You drive and you're doing this whole film in French.
Right. Odd, bizarre.
Your sorts of tentacles across Hollywood are incredible, and I loved reading that when you first
like
went.
An octopus.
Well, no, but it is. This is what I mean. You know, you are sort of legendary, incredible presence, doesn't she?
She does have a
two in Hollywood, and you know, obviously it goes back. It's historical. Yes. My success sort of slightly takes me by surprise when I found you found something in your sheds. It could have been called In the Vicinity of Trouble. You'd get a rollicking.
I know.
Give a little bit.
Might have been.
Yeah. Talk about, I think, the sledging. I think there's a great moment where you say, Jack Russell said, I haven't cleaned my teeth for 3 months because when I'm standing up, I want to breathe. I think you say it in the book, actually.
Yeah, good morning, Britain. It's just on 6:30. Welcome to another programme. What is it, Wednesday today?
It is a Wednesday.
It's
Hump Day, apparently.
How could I forget?
That's what they call it. But now, listen, the big news on all front of the papers this morning is a picture of the Queen looking great, doing her Zoom calls, but actually a flagship.
Talking about her cynicism, really, about world leaders. Here we go. Saying that when she was 40. You know, have graciously warned us not to travel on the M25
or to
today.
slow down to 20
on the show in about half an hour.
Who actually doesn't want to be called a protester? She wants to be called a specosperson, which is interesting.
Well, I think we'll call her what she does.
Yes,
but anyway, we'll
talk to Dr. Hillary about something. Actually, it's.
And many women don't even want to take an aspirin if they can avoid it. It's an interesting Hillary's that actually, in this case, that's a very interesting point. Thank you.
We were meant to talk about test and trace being. Nice to see you. Now, still to come, ex-England cricketer and I'm a Celebrity winner Phil Tufnell will be giving his jungle predictions when he joins us live in the studio. How can you give us predictions? Do we know who's in it?
I don't know. There are reports that certain people who are well-known are in it.
You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.
Nicely choreographed. All right, after ministers were scolded by the Speaker of the Commons, Lindsay Hoyle, he was very cross, wasn't he, for announcing budget decisions early this week, all these leaks to the media. Chancellor Rishi Sunak will finally deliver the official budget in Parliament later today. We know he's going to be offering a rise in the minimum wage, a pay rise for public sector workers and squillions more for the NHS.
But is it enough to help working families through what could be a very difficult winter ahead? Joining us now to discuss this is Shad. Now, 5 minutes past 7. Let's take a look at the weather. Here's Alex.
A few minutes past 7 o'clock. Welcome to the programme if you just joined us. And obviously, the Chancellor's teetotal, so he won't be having whiskey.
He certainly won't be.
But it's
you can get non-alcoholic stuff these days, can't you?
You can get an
all sorts of things you can get. Now, 7 minutes past 7. And the news everywhere this morning is that the Queen is resting at Windsor Castle on medical advice. Approaching 10 minutes past 7. Here's...
that we're going to be bringing you in the next half hour.
Well, yes, let's take a look. Still ahead on Good Morning Britain. Justify. They've been away for about 10 days, haven't they?
They took a break, yeah.
They took a break, and now they've come back with this.
Oh,
did it?
Yes,
right,
it did.
there you go. So, yeah, we want to know what you think about Insulate Britain doing another wave of protesting and slowing up traffic.
Well, they're already coming on to us. We've got one, and they're mostly very hostile. A couple of supportive messages, but the overwhelming majority are very much angrier, actually, than the last time we discussed this. People are really losing patience. 131 on Twitter says, look, just remove a few who are glued to the road, just enough so the traffic can get through, and then leave the rest stuck there to get cold, wet and hungry. That'll make them think. Joe on Twitter, the government should allow water cannon to be used on the protesters, and the colder and the higher pressure, the better. Talon Fari on Twitter, scoop the lot of them up and dump them in prison. Why the hell aren't these people at work? There's a lot more hostility than
Well,
there was
there is a
ago.
High Court injunction that covers the whole of England, and we'll be talking to Insulet Britain about whether they're willing to break the law. Of course they are, clearly. We'll also be talking to former England cricketer and jungle king Phil Tufnell.
Anyone who might be going into it this year, but it's a castle, of course, not the jungle, might be able to emulate him. Anyway, get the news and the travel and the weather wherever you're watching. See you in a minute.
Bits of their bodies they'll be gluing to which bits of the M25.
That guy who glued his cheek to the road actually admitted he wished he hadn't done it.
Yes, he said it wasn't
extremely painful.
It wasn't
he
his
bled a lot
smartest move.
when he finally cut it free, so, you know.
OK, well, we've got live cameras over the M25 this morning for you. You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.
Today's breaking story. The climate activist group Insulate Britain has this morning declared the M25 a site of non-violent civil resistance. They won't say exactly where they're going to be sitting down with one of their protests, or many of their protests, but they have asked drivers to either stick to 20 miles per hour or to avoid the M25 completely.
But after months of disruptions and the issue of climate change now at the top of the political agenda, is it time to stop? And how tolerant should we be of protests which disrupt our daily lives? Joining us now is
Britain on ITV.
Light up your outdoor space with Handy Bright Solar LED Spotlight from JML. The motion activated